A mega ET Now exclusive. In 2010, remember, veteran hotelier PRS Oberoi bought in Mukesh Ambani's Reliance Industries as a white knight and to thwart a hostile takeover by ITC. Now, that was then headed by the legendary YC Deveshwar. 9 years later, we understand that ITC, under the chairmanship of Sanjeev Puri, is believed to be reviewing its investment in the Oberoi Group of Hotels and its flagship listed entity, that's EIH. Nayantara Rai, as always, with all the mega exclusives and ET Now. Nayantara, will Reliance Industries be able to check in with a bigger stake?
Well, what we are understanding from our sources, that is the game plan. And look at the names that we're talking around here. Mukesh Ambani, Reliance Industries, ITC under the chairmanship of Sanjeev Puri, and of course the country's best-known hotelier, a veteran, PRS Oberoi. 2010, RIL checked into EIH, the Oberoi Group of Hotels, to thwart any hostile takeover attempt by ITC. But things have changed. ITC's hostile takeover attempt was under the leadership of YC Deveshwar, who is now tragically no more. And Sanjeev Puri, we are being told by our sources, is looking at perhaps a consolidation of sorts when it comes to the hotel operations. With Mukesh Ambani being brought in, the message was sent very clearly by PRS Oberoi to ITC, which, if I could put it very crudely, is don't mess with us anymore. So, you know, with ITC just looking at it as a treasury investment, perhaps not that much upside left in it anymore. Maybe it can partly exit, completely exit, and make other investments. That seems to be something that ITC, I'm being told by my sources, is reviewing quite seriously. I'm being told by my sources that Reliance Industries has sent feelers to ITC to sell a part or full stake to Reliance Industries. A developing story in the sense with feelers being sent, it's a premature stage. But if you look at the current holding, Reliance can buy another 6% in EIH without triggering the open offer. I'm also being told by my sources that back in 2010, when Mukesh Ambani and RIL invested in the Oberoi Group of Hotels in EIH, there had been an understanding between PRS Oberoi and Mukesh Ambani, and in writing, that RIL would not attempt a hostile takeover, would not trigger an open offer. But things have changed in the last 9 years. The big question is, will Mukesh Ambani do that now? Sources saying he won't. He will do whatever he does with the blessing of PRS Oberoi. So the veteran hotelier is going to perhaps be the kingmaker and the decision maker here of Reliance Industries, triggering any possibility of an open offer, the possibility of any open offer. But till then, of course, Reliance has the headroom to increase its stake to just below 25%. It currently has about 18% plus. ITC has 16% plus. We at ET Now sent detailed questionnaires to all stakeholders. ITC never responded to the questionnaire. The Oberoi Group has written back saying, we do not comment on market speculation. Reliance Industries has said, your information is incorrect. We are not planning to increase our stake. But this is the mega ET Now exclusive. Remember, this stake of ITC in EIH has been considered to be YC Deveshwar's legacy. This is a new ITC now under the chairmanship of Sanjeev Puri. A lot has changed in the last 9 years, even in the hospitality sector. I believe Sandeep Parekh is now joining us to talk more about this. Hi, Sandeep. Nayantara Rai here, the mega ET Now exclusive. Reliance Industries interested in hiking its stake in EIH. It can do so without triggering an open offer with an elbow room of about 6%. If it's to go further than that, of course, there'll be an open offer. But we're being told Mukesh Ambani will do it with the blessing of PRS Oberoi. Does this surprise you at all? A lot, you know, we have been hearing murmurs in the past about how this is, you know, the ITC's attempt to take over was thwarted very successfully by PRS Oberoi, which relegated its stake to perhaps just being a treasury investment.
Hi. So it's an interesting news because I think the hotel chain obviously and I think they want to do it without the threat of hostile acquisition by a rival company, which was tried earlier. I think it makes sense for both sides. And as you said, you know, there is headroom before an open offer is triggered. And of course, the Oberoi family is still in charge, so I don't think there's a change of control. and they're not triggering the 25% limit, and therefore, again, there will be no open offer.
They're not triggering it yet. That is the part we have to understand, that feelers are being sent. Of course, ITC has to decide to become the seller. PRS Oberoi also has to bless the transaction, is what we are being told, because that was the understanding between Reliance as well as EIH when the deal happened in 2010. Since then, we've seen Neeta Ambani as a board member of EIH. Manoj Modi, a close aide of Mukesh Ambani, is a part of the board of EIH. Vijay Thakur of Horwath now joining us. Vijay, good afternoon. This is the Mega ET Now exclusive. You understand the hospitality sector so well. Put it all in context for us. On one hand, you've got ITC, which is moving court, trying to scuttle the deal that had been reached between Leela as well as Brookfield. On the other side, we at ET Now picking up that feelers have been sent, that ITC is reviewing its stake in EIH, that it may agree to partly or fully exit EIH. How do you put all of this together?
Assuming this is right, of course, that's a caveat. But assuming that's right, I think from ITC's perspective, it is logical simply because there is no road further for it in EIH. And how long is it going to hold on to just being an equity investor, getting whatever dividends that it gets? It was made as a strategic investment at the start. If that strategy cannot be fulfilled, and it doesn't seem that there is any way that that can be fulfilled now with the investment that RIL made many years ago, it's logical for them to want to disinvest. They've had that similar investment in Leela. Assuming the Brookfield transaction goes forward, even that doesn't sort of provide them the strategic advantage anymore to ITC. So I think both put together, some plus, some minus, probably makes sense from their perspective.
But, Vijay, if I could just also look at Reliance Industries' track record of the various investments it's been making in the past. For example, let's look at what it has done with Satyapal and Genesis, how it's taken over there. So when you talk about EIH and, you talk about how the Oberoi family and the Ambani family have always been very, very close, will PRS Oberoi not want to protect his son Vikram Oberoi's interest or his nephew Arjun Oberoi's interest? He has taken that role very seriously. Will he not want his own son and nephew to be at the helm of affairs? So from that perspective, do you think the Oberoi family, and I know I'm wading into speculation here, and whatever you know of the Oberoi family, do you see them blessing this deal? Because if that were to happen, if you were to see RIL just below the trigger of the open offer and one day look at taking over, isn't it goodbye to India's first hospitality family?
I don't think that's the case at all. I mean, you asked me multiple questions in that. Will Mr. Oberoi want to protect Vikram and Arjun? Of course, I'm sure. I don't think there's any element of doubt there. And therefore, I think the important thing is that this is not something that's going to happen on its own without Mr. Oberoi taking a view. How it works out, it will work out, I'm sure, in the spirit of partnership between the two big shareholders, if it were to happen at all. So I think that spirit will always prevail. I don't see a reason why it should not.
If I could go back to Sandeep Parekh over there, Sandeep, we are picking up that there had been such an understanding between Mukesh Ambani and PRS Oberoi, between the Oberoi Group, EIH and Reliance Industries about not triggering an open offer. But, if we were to look at the past, we have seen that Reliance Industries usually doesn't like to stay as a smaller investor. Would you agree with that view? And then having said that, would it not be natural that eventually it would one day want to take over India's flagship hospitality venture?
Neither, I don't think that seems to be on the card because, if you see it strategically, RIL has got into several areas, including retail, it's gotten into media, it's gotten into 3 or 4 segments like Geo. They have made no attempt to get into hospitality and hotels. So I really doubt, they this is their way of acquiring. And I think they've always been seen as a white knight. They've not been seen as somebody who's going to take over at some point of time. So white knight would imply that, it's a passive investment for Reliance, and, it's obviously they want returns on the investment. So it's likely to continue to be an investment as opposed to ITC, which is obviously it has a huge hotel chain, and it obviously would be seeing it as a strategic acquisition and trying to merge it with their existing hotel chain. So as of now, I mean, there seems to be neither any explicit statement, nor is there kind of any seeming attempt to get into hospitality by the Reliance and the Oberoi Group. So I think it seems to be consistent with that.
They will stay on as the passive investors. If I could now invite my next guest, I'm being told by my producer that we have one more. It is Mr. Mandeep Lamba, HBS Anarok. Hi, Mandeep. Nayantara Rai in New Delhi. Good to have you on the show. We are being told by our sources that feelers have been sent to ITC by Reliance Industries for it to increase its stake. It has an elbow room of almost 6% right now without triggering an open offer. We're, of course, talking about the Oberoi Group and EIH. So ITC, we're being told by sources under the chairmanship of Sanjeev Puri, considering a partial or a full exit as far as EIH goes. We're also being told that Mukesh Ambani and RIL will not do anything that is of triggering an open offer without the blessing of veteran PRS Oberoi. Mandeep Lamba, does all of this make sense to you? Does it still make sense for ITC to remain in EIH as an investor with about 16-17%, where it's never really going to have to be, it's never going to be able to play a bigger role with Reliance Industries over there? And if you could juxtapose that with what we've seen very recently with what ITC has done with Leela, could it perhaps be a way of maybe, how would you put all of this together?
So clearly, I think ITC has been holding on to Leela for almost 19 years now, and they've been passive investors. Same with RIL as well. I clearly can't make a picture out of RIL trying to get 6% without triggering off, the open offer, and how that's going to help. They have 18.5%, another 6% would make them 24.5%. But it's not really going to change anything in terms of the control of the company. And I completely agree that RIL will not make any kind of acquisition without the blessings of PRS Oberoi. So while there could be some reason why this story seems to be doing the round, clearly from the hospitality perspective, I can't seem to put a picture together on ITC trying to sell 6% and RIL trying to acquire 6%. I don't think that acquisition is going to change the game in any case. And if you look at ITC's situation vis-a-vis the Leela acquisition, I think that's a little different from this picture, which is emerging on RIL wanting to acquire part or full stake of ITC. So frankly, Nayantara, at this stage, I can't seem to make too much sense out of it in terms of a strategic acquisition that RIL may be making or an exit for ITC, either partly or wholly. What could have triggered it, having held on to it for 19 years, is seemingly unclear to me at this moment in time.
Mandeep Lamba, it can't just be a case of, this had also been Vaisi Deveshwar's legacy. With things changing now at ITC, with maybe ITC realizing it's made the maximum upside it could as an equity investment, as a treasury investment, it could deploy that elsewhere for expansion?
It obviously could, and I would think that from that perspective, if that were true, then they would like to get completely, they would make an exit. I don't think they would make a 6% sale and hold on, to the balance 10% that they'll be left with. And that could be possible, but again, that will have to happen with the involvement of the Oberoi family for sure. And if that is happening in the background, very likely that ITC may decide to, get out of that investment in which they've been passive for so many years. And not that ITC needs that money for expansion, or it's going to be so significant that they need it for immediate expansion. I think most of the work on the expansion for ITC has already been completed, and going forward, from whatever I know, it's an asset-light strategy for ITC. But at the treasury level, a call to exit very much possible.
Okay. With that, I'd like to thank all three gentlemen for joining us here on this mega ET Now exclusive story. I'll just once again wrap it up for you guys. Look at the names that are involved. PRS Oberoi, Mukesh Ambani and Reliance Industries, ITC under the new chairman Sanjeev Puri. The stocks have reacted as well, whether it's EIH as well as ITC. Feelers being sent to ITC to start selling stake to Reliance Industries, either partly or fully. So let's see how this one pans out, ladies and gentlemen. RIL has told ET Now your information is wrong. There are no plans of increasing stake. ITC never responded to ET Now's detailed questionnaire. And the Oberoi Group said we do not, as a policy, comment on market speculation.